Hello everyone, and a good day to all of you. I wanted to talk today about linear compensators, their use, what are they, and my experiences with them. My reasoning for doing this video, I wanted to talk about some of the applicable use cases and some places where I would not really recommend using them, because I see, I would say, some misunderstanding on where these really shine. I wouldn't really say it's necessarily deceptive marketing, but more so overestimating the effectiveness of these. So to start out, I'm going to start very, very basic, just so you understand what is a linear compensator. So like a regular compensator would usually compensate for recoil by redirecting the gases, a linear comp just takes all those gases you can see and just in line with the muzzle jets them out there. Just so you have a visual comparison of the difference between a regular comp, which is what I have right here. This is a J comp from Strike Industries, and there you can see those are the ports where the gas would be redirected towards the top when this is indexed properly and would just literally push the whole gun down. Do note this is also a muzzle brake. That's what these chambers on the side are. And then of course, compared to the linear compensator, you just have the holes in the front, just redirecting everything out there to push the blast further out. A little bit tangential, but also this is a combination of a muzzle brake and a compensator. What a muzzle brake is that this is something that reduces felt recoil. Like I said, that's what those chambers are for, and this is the compensator. I do see a lot of confusion. I occasionally forget it too on which does what, and a lot of that is because a lot of these are usually combined. But if a good way to think of it is a muzzle brake, so you don't break your shoulder. Different spelling and all that, but just kind of a somewhat easier way to think of it to not get them mixed up. But yeah, it doesn't do anything for muzzle rise, at least that part. So compensator right there, linear compensator right here. The reason for this, the benefit that this has, is it helps to mitigate the amount of sound and blast that you have at your ear, especially when you're using something like an SBR or a AR pistol, something with a shorter barrel like a 10.3 right here. However, from my experience with both of these linear comps, and I would say that this one right here, Maxim Defense HATEBRAKE, is the more effective of the two, which I'll talk about more later. But either way, I've tested both of these on 16 to 18 inch barrels as well. Can't really notice much of a difference. Now, I normally do shoot at an outdoor range. If you are shooting in an indoor range, you'll probably notice more of a benefit to using these. It'll make it a lot more pleasant for you to shoot. And don't get me wrong, on an SBR it definitely does help either way, but you can just make it a little bit less annoying for you and your fellow shooters. Where this doesn't shine though, this is the first kind of big place where I see somewhat of an overestimation of their abilities, is for home defense. A lot of people are recommending linear comps or saying that they use them for home defense, and I would really not recommend them for that. I would just recommend, if you're legally allowed to use either a flash hider or an actual full-on suppressor, ideally, if it's legal in your area. But my issue with using a linear comp for home defense is that although these do help with making it more pleasant to shoot when you're even in an indoor range, they don't really help when you're in home defense, because you just have, generally speaking, confined hallways, which pretty much the sound is just going to bounce back at you and still be really, really unpleasant. Any confined corridor, it's not going to do, you're not going to notice any difference whatsoever. And also going back and talking a little bit more, so using linear comps on 16 to 18 inch barrels, like I mentioned, I have tested these and they weren't that effective. One other point to also address is on bullpups. So I've shot this on a Tavor, this Caw Valley right here, with an 18 inch barrel, and you might think that maybe this could help, because although the Tavor has an 18 inch barrel, it is closer to your face, so I see some people think maybe it can help a little bit to mitigate the blast there, but didn't really notice that, because your longer barrels, they're way less just violently gassed, so they're fine. I would say there's not really any need, even on a bullpup, to use a linear comp at all. Another point to keep in mind is I do see some linear comps advertised as also reducing muzzle flash. For example, I know that on this HATEBRAKE, they do claim that. In my testing of this HATEBRAKE, when I originally had it installed on this Maxim Defense upper, I really didn't notice any difference in muzzle flash. In fact, I still saw a pretty considerable amount. So I would say if you are looking for something to reduce muzzle flash, to just get an actual flash hider or, again, proper suppressor. Now, another thing you might see on a lot of these linear comps is some of them are advertised as muzzle boosters. That's another thing with this HATEBRAKE, you can see, because it's a two-piece. Now, this might look like a pretty familiar design if you're familiar at all with the AK two-piece flash hiders. They kind of act as a muzzle booster as well, and that can help to improve reliability in very, very specific circumstances. But I would say, by and large, you're better off adjusting the gas system if you're using a gas-operated firearm, which mostly everyone is. For example, your ARs or AKs, I would say you're better off adjusting that than going with a muzzle booster. Now, one thing about muzzle boosters, you will note earlier, I did say that a linear comp won't really affect felt recoil. Muzzle booster can, however, again, it's not something I really noticed with this. It was fine either way for me, but that is kind of the design of what a muzzle booster will do. So if you are looking to have as little recoil as possible, definitely don't go with one of those. But going back to this Kaw Valley, because most linear compensators are like this, they're just a simple, the gases will just go straight through there, like you can see. And these still work pretty well. The HATEBRAKE kind of has like almost single baffle, but again, not a suppressor. This doesn't reduce sound whatsoever. And it helps to really redirect the sound quite well, as you can imagine, because it has this outer cone and then it blasts everything forward quite well. One other point I did want to mention is if you have something like this HATEBRAKE, or if there is any other really large linear comps out there, specifically as it applies to external piston ARs, which generally I am actually shooting those type short stroke gas piston 416 platform. This will actually block you from being able to remove the handguard. So you might want to go with either, if you are going to use a linear comp, you might want to go with, for example, that Kaw Valley, or one that's a similar profile, or just, not a really large one, since it's not like where you can just unthread a suppressor and take off, the handguard and everything. Since this is actually torqued onto your muzzle, it can be a little bit annoying if you need to clean out the piston system there. To conclude, I would say that if you're looking for a linear compensator for range usage, that is a very, very good use case for it. It definitely helps a lot to mitigate the felt blast and sound when you are shooting at an indoor range especially, or outdoor range, depending on your barrel length. But if you are looking at getting one of these for home defense, I can understand it if you're in a state that either has flash hiders banned or suppressors banned, or both. But otherwise, I would say to definitely go with one of these instead for more practical applications. I do a fair bit of shooting under night vision, so I do like having this so I'm not blinding myself or really just telegraphing where I'm shooting from. So a bit of a shorter video today. I hope that this was helpful for someone out there. Regardless, thank you all for watching. Let me know if you have any other questions, or if there's anything else that you would like to add about linear comps for your own uses, something that you find them beneficial for as well, maybe I skipped on, then by all means, leave that in the comments below. Thank you all again for watching. Take care. Hope to see you all in the next one. See you then.